now. I've talked about it before. He's stupid. He's an idiot. I don't know how he's holding his degree. And I usually keep it to myself. I usually keep it to myself because I'm like, maybe I'm doing wrong. But you go on his Rate My Professor page and everybody's fucking an asshole. Nobody likes this guy. And so I'm not alone. He's dumb. They need to fire him. But it's okay. I only have 2 more assignments with this freak, and then I'm rid of him for the rest of my life because I'm not going to be going to this college any longer. I'm going to a more upstanding university where I belong. I took a philosophy of love and sex class, and it was so interesting. That sounds so interesting. Oh my goodness, I'd love to take a class like that. That sounds very sweet. That's awesome. I can't wait until I can expand into some more fun classes. I think the last interesting class I took was probably my world religions class. I had a teacher that straight up said it's a good thing that 34 out of every 40 students give up. No, it is not. I hate teachers who are like, oh, yes, I'm such a hard grader. Everybody fails my class. Like, then you are not a good teacher. That is not the sign of you being a good teacher. That is, in fact, the sign of you being kind of bad at your job. Because the whole point is for you to be able to teach students so they can learn and pass. But yes, so much. I have so many opinions about university. Yeah, after I get my associates, I'm just going to get a bachelor's in marketing or something. I don't blame you. I couldn't take comps. I was actually specifically going for cybersecurity, and I couldn't do it. My professor's obnoxious. The internet technician certification, that had me at the end of my rope. Oh, you're in web design? That's awesome. I took a little bit of web design when I was going to. I'm technically web design certified, but I did take a little bit of web design when I was going through my courses. It was very fun. I loved web design. The fun part, one of the guys he made us read strictly said that knowing something doesn't matter if you can't teach it to those who don't know exactly. That's the thing. It's like if your whole job, the whole thing you're being paid to do is to teach people, and I don't understand why you would be I don't understand why you would be proud that you can't teach people. But yes, enough lamenting about university. We're going to start. I want to start with the mods because this was very. Again, I have some other tier lists just for fun, in case I have more phone battery to last. But we're going to start with the moths because the moths are the main attraction. I have 30 something. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 species of moth that we are going to rate and review and put on a tier list today. Paid to teach, taught to teach, can't teach, is proud about it. Never underestimate humanity's insanity. That's a bit of a rhyme. You're a poet and you don't even know it. But yes, exactly. Well, I think it's a lot of people will get like master's degrees and stuff, and it will not have a lot of practical use in the real world. And so, you know what they say, if you can't work, then teach. And a lot of people approach it that way. So they are kind of bitter. I think that's the what it's going down with one of my professors right now, except I have a 101 in his class. So I guess I can't complain too much. But yes, we are starting off with some moths. They are a wide range of moths. I will say it's a lot of South America and North America, just because that's a lot of the best ones. Southeast Asia and South America, they have the good ones. Everywhere else, you're slacking. I'm drinking right now. I got a hot chocolate. Oh my God. Actually, before we get to the moths, listen, I'm so mad still. I wanted to go to Dunkin' Donuts. I wanted hot chocolate and a blueberry donut. That's all I wanted. I got a hot chocolate, but I pull up. Where I live, Dunkin' Donuts are usually like 24 hours. They're open all day because people, welcome in Skull Smasher, welcome in. People where I live are crazy about Dunkin' Donuts. Don't live in Rhode Island. But people are also crazy about Dunkin' Donuts where I live. And so they're either open until like midnight or they're open 24 hours. Dunkin' Donuts here close at 7 p.m. Same. People are crazy for Duncan. The South. Oh, we're both South Duncan heads. We're both Southern Duncan heads. The South is just as crazy about Duncan as like the South is just as crazy about Duncan as New England. But yes, they close at 7 p.m. So I pull up and I'm like, I want a hot chocolate. And then I am going over the six. I'm like, I also want a half dozen donuts. And they're like, just so you know, we only have like 5 kinds of donuts. And I'm like, okay, that's unfortunate. But they had Bavarian cream, and I like Bavarian cream. I can eat a Bavarian cream. So I'm like, okay, I'll get a hot chocolate and a Bavarian cream. They go up to the window. They approach me looking petrified. They look horrified. And they're coming up with my bag. Welcome in, Perot, welcome in. They're coming up to me with my bag, and they hand me a bag of 2 donuts, and they're powdered, like the powdered sugar. And so I'm assuming that, maybe they just gave me some of the leftovers because it's the end of the night. And I just realized that because this is a crazy place, like Dunkin' Donuts close at 7 p.m. Um, they had me a bag. I look inside, I'm like, okay, there's 2 donuts. Maybe they just gave me extra that they were there. I don't have anything. I'm still making my hot chocolate, but I take a bite of my donut. It's lemon. It's a lemon jelly filled donut, and I hate lemon. I really don't like lemon. I like in very rare circumstances. I don't even like lemonade. I might be allergic to lemons because anytime I eat anything with lemon in it, it makes my throat hurt. And not because it's sour. It makes it like burn and raw. So that's why I don't like lemons, because it hurts. You don't like lemonade? It hurts. It's not worth the pain. Okay, I will say I like lemonade specifically. When you go to like a state fair and they give you the big plastic things of lemonade and there's so much sugar, there's like giant clumps of sugar at the bottom. I like lemonade like that. I know that's a bit awful, but yes, they gave me a lemon. I've never actually been to a state fair. We must go together. We must go. I love the state fair so much. I love eating bad food and going on haunted house rides. So much sugar you feel like you're drinking wet sand. Exactly, exactly. I love that kind of lemonade, but that's it. And I think that's because the sugar counteracts the lemon taste. Uh, but yes, I got, and it was lemon jelly. I don't even know if it was curd. It was disgusting. It was horrible. I was so mad. I'm like, now I know why they gave me 2 donuts. It's because they didn't even have my Bavarian cream. I wanted a beautiful, delightful cream surprise in my donut. But yes, I'm drinking a hot chocolate, and all that to say, why is hot chocolate best when it's lukewarm? Like when it's it's kind of like a warm chocolate milk. That's all I have to say. I think that might be an unpopular opinion, and I think you might think of me a freak. I work at a donut shop. That's so cute. That's so cute and somewhat befitting. Yeah, like that too. Exactly. It's good when it's really hot, but I think it's best when it's lukewarm. It's family owned, but like they're so, so good. Oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. I would really go for a good donut right now, but that's not going to happen. Anyways, yes, moths. We have to get to the moths. Oh, my internet is unstable. Hopefully, okay. So we're starting out strong with a very common moth, uh, the American dagger moth. What we are starting out with. And if you don't know, an American dagger moth is it's a white base, typical moth body, so the fat, fluffy kind of body with thin antenna, and it has kind of almost like a peppery speckled on its wing. It is not a peppered moth. When I was looking at this tier list, because again, I didn't make it, a friend made it for me, I thought it was a peppered moth, but no, it is an American dagger moth. Simple, classic, you see them everywhere. They don't have much going on for them, but they're cute enough. I'm very partial to white moths in general. Um, Again, they're really nothing special. They're cute though. Like I said, that you can mix them up for many different other kinds of moths. Most dagger moths really are very basic. There's a few dagger moths on here. Actually, I think only one other dagger moth on here. But yes, they're a simple moth, and they look like a lot of other moths. They look like peppered moths. Uh, they look like some kinds of carpet moths. They're far from bad, and the larvae is very iconic. I would put it on B. I was thinking C. It's a very middle of the road, average kind of moth. We're starting off neutral. Nothing I'm too crazy about, but let me peep the larvae. Let me peep the larvae. It's cute, but there are so many other, like, again, I feel like there are so many other moths that look that even have produce more uh that produce even more interesting larvae and caterpillars. Strong C, exactly. It's a very neutral kind of moth. We're starting out very middle. However, we're going on to the awesome moth, which is actually one I really like. I will say the awesome silk moth, the picture that was chosen does not do them justice on this tier list. Awesome silk moths can be anywhere from that kind of rusty orangey brown to a beautiful rusty shade of dark red, and I really love when they have that dark red color. When they're more brown, um, they're a bit plain. They can be confused with a lot of other kinds of moths, but I really like that rusty red color. And if you pull up their larvae, they're very cute. Classic fat green caterpillar. Classic. Again, nothing crazy, but I love that deep red. If you look, you can see a few like that are so dark, they're almost like black. They're so pretty. I like awesome moths. But because there's variation and you don't consistently get that kind of you don't consistent I'm sorry if you can hear me clicking. Like I said, it's a very precarious setup. I'm sitting in a bathroom. You consistently get that kind of pretty color. And it's if you're not aware, it's the awesome silk moth is from the Saturnidae family. So it's from a lot of the larger moths like Luna moths, Atlas moths, things like that. I believe, if I remember correctly, let me double check. Um, I believe they are from Southeast Asia. Yes, yes. Um, Let me double check. Yes, India, I think. Yes. And so they're a classic breed of the really big Southeast Asian silk moths. Uh, but again, they have really pretty variations, but sometimes they also look kind of plain. Assam, right? Also, if possible, could you read the moth's name slowly? Yes, I talk too fast sometimes. Uh, it is the awesome silk moth, ASSAM silk moth, uh, also known as the Muga silkworm, also known as the Antherea assamensis. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Antherea assamensis, or the Muga silkworm. Again, Southeast Asian moth. I think we're going to put it at a solid B. I really like those deep red colors. A strong B, no, exactly. We're starting to agree. I really like those solid red colors, but because it's a variation, you don't always consistently get that, and it's just giving basic silk moth. You could find more interesting silk moths, and even in Southeast Asia than that. Speaking of which, we're moving on to the Atlas moth, a classic. The Atlas moth. I believe the Atlas moth is also in Southeast Asia. Yes, in the forests of Southeast Asia. It is another Saturnidae. So again, really large species of silk moth. Uh, your white witches, your atlases, your luna moths. And their species name is very simple. Atticus atlas, the atlas moth. They're one of the simpler names on the list. They are one of the largest moth species in the world. I believe the only other species that is larger than the Atlas moth is the white witch. I know people a while back used to think that Atlas moths are the largest. No, it is the white witch moth, if I am correct. Um, but yes, they are that kind of giant giant orange moths with those pretty like purple and white and black stripes and eye patterns. They're very pretty. The females are huge. They are heavy. Like there are some moths by where I live. I don't get any of like the crazy big moth species, but I get some of the ones that like are the palm of your hand. And when you pick them up, I love my females huge. Exactly. Exactly. I love my females huge and fat and fluffy and warm and kind, like an Atlas moth. You get what I'm saying. Uh, Even the moths here, like they get very big. And so when you hold them in your hand, you can hear them flapping. I want to know what an Atlas moth sounds like beating its wings. I think it's very cute when you can hear them flapping, whatever they're flying near. It's very sweet. They're very cute. I love the I love the orange pattern, and this one kind of elevates itself because it has its markings. Unlike the awesome, its markings are a bit more distinct. And so when you're looking at an Atlas moth, it's very, very iconic. You can spot an Atlas moth from a mile away, not just because they're big. And so I'm thinking Atlas moths, they're iconic, they're big, their coloring is beautiful. Again, you can get some of those lavenders, you can get some very rich browns, those beautiful whites, and then the white, the kind of cream at the tips of their top wings that they get sometimes is really pretty. I really like it. And so we are putting Atlas moths at A tier moth. There's little that can go wrong. Again, the fact that the coloration isn't the most special, but it is distinct enough that I am willing to give it the bonus points to put it in A, and especially because it's one of the biggest moth species there is. And so that was the Atlas moth. Next, we are doing the black witch moth, which is a relative of the white witch moth, of course. Also, its range is from the southern United States all the way down to southern Brazil, I believe. It is this one is also a bit of a tongue twister. Ascalapha odorata is the black witch moth. They're very pretty. I love these kinds of moths because, again, classic kind of silk moth body in which it has the large fluffy abdomen. It has the cute feathered antenna if you look closely, and it has those big, beautiful, wide wings. And their patterns are kind of like a dusty black and gray with some white, and they get that really pretty speckling. They're a very goth moth. They're a very good goth moth. Like I feel like if you were, I feel like if you were doing like I feel like if you were filming some sort of goth movie, or maybe you had like a book cover. I don't know. I feel like it would fit perfectly. I really like the black witch moths. It seems like they have a variation in coloring, including some grayer and duller ones. I think I'd put it at a weak B. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I like them. And I also like that in some lightings, the whites on their feathers will actually shine blue. It's very pretty. They almost have kind of like, if you look, they almost have kind of like an opalescent effect to them. It's very pretty. And I like that. I don't know. They just look very goth. I'm going to put them A tier for the Black Witch Moth above an Atlas, but that's because my sensibilities are very dark. I feel like it's a good like dark academia moth. I feel like it belongs there. And coming up, I've been excited for this one. Our first S tier, the Bombyx mori, the domestic silk moth, the one species of moth, I believe the only species of moth. And it fits the vibe of your model exactly. Exactly. But the one species of moth I believe we've domesticated is the Bombyx mori. It is not a naturally occurring moth. It is the moth that we breed to produce silk. That's where the silk comes from in silk moth. And so you will raise the caterpillars of a Bombyx mori, a domesticated silk moth, and then once they turn into cocoons, cocoons will have a very thick layer of silk around them that you can then extract and process. And something that's very fascinating about domesticated silk moths is that something that's very fascinating about domesticated silk moths is because of how we've bred them to produce so much silk, it's also altered their body in their adult lives. So domesticated silk moths, if you look, they have a very small wingspan and a very large body. Their abdomens are very large and they have a lot of that kind of feathery fluff on them. And so they actually, in adulthood, they cannot survive in the wild because their bodies are too fat to lift themselves off the ground with their little wings. And so domesticated silk moths can only occur in captivity because they have been bred as such that they cannot survive. They cannot properly reproduce, and they're not bees who can ignore physics. Exactly. But yes, Bombyx mori cannot reproduce in the wild because they do not have the capability. Welcome in, welcome in. They do not have the capability to really fly or move themselves around as much as they could. I'd eat it into S, yes, especially because I'm biased. I really like raising silk moths. I'm actually looking to get back into raising silk moths again soon. I haven't for many years, especially because I moved recently, but I really want to get back into raising silk moths. They're very pretty. And they're so cute. Again, they're very classic, but I think that gives them some good points. They look like poodles, you know? They look like a poodle. It's like such a puppy dog. You look at that thing and it looks like a doggy. It's like a dog moth. So Bombyx mori, domesticated silk moth, one of the only, if not the only, species of domesticated moth, S tier. I would love to start breeding them and processing their silk. I think that would be so much fun. Plus, they're boosted by their historic presence. Exactly. They've done us very good. I think we owe it to them to put domesticated silk moths in S tier. Speaking of bees defying the laws of physics, we have next up the bumblebee moth. I'm actually not the most familiar with the bumblebee moth, so let me pull up its scientific name. Also known as the snowberry clearwing, Hemeristophinus. It's in the name. I believe they're a kind of hummingbird moth. Just looking at it, judging it, I believe they're a kind of hummingbird moth, and they look just like a bumblebee. Few things can say I've been in Rome and China. Exactly. But yes, they look just like a bumblebee. They're very cute. They have very round, transparent wings, and something that again I could spot a hummingbird hawk moth from a while away. They look like nature clicked the randomizer. No, exactly. Hummingbird moths are very cute. They have kind of a strange shaped body in which I'm trying to just think about how to describe it. Hummingbird moths have a very particular kind of shape. They look like little hummingbirds. They have a little hummingbird shaped body, except imagine if a hummingbird, instead of a beak, had a proboscis, a little swirly proboscis, and two little antennae, and also six legs. They're very cute. I don't get this kind of hummingbird moth, but I do get a different kind of hummingbird moth. Around my house. It kind of looked like a good Pokemon design too. Exactly. But they're so cute. They look like bumblebees. Again, they're very cute, but I feel like the bumblebee is the most they have going for them. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking high B or low A. It's hard. Okay, we're gonna go bumblebee moth. What was the alternate name for it again? Low A for me. The transparent wings are great. Exactly. The transparent wings are really cute. Also known as the snowberry clear wing. Hello, Jelly. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're going to put the bumblebee moth at a low A. And then next, after the bumblebee moth, we have another classic, another, I believe, let me make sure I'm right. I believe this is another Saturnidae. If not, um, yes, another Saturnidae. We have the Cecropia moth, which is kind of similar. The Cecropia moth is kind of like the Atlas moth's emo cousin. I don't want to say goth. It's kind of like the Atlas moth's emo cousin. Um, it's another very large kind of moth, similar to the Atlas. They are actually the largest species of moth we have here in North America. So South America gets the Atlas. We get the Cecropia. Yeah, closer to emo with those red and whites. Exactly, exactly. You just move those colors around a little bit, and I feel like you could put that on an MCR cover. But they're very big. I actually kind of like their colors a bit more than an Atlas moth, just because I like the contrast. But they are a bit plain. They are kind of like your average run-of-the-mill Saturnidae moth. So I'm trying to think. I think Cecropia moth, while I enjoy its coloring, it's nothing special. So I think we're going to go with a high B. So above an os, but below A tier is where we're going putting our Cecropia. OMG, hi. Oh my goodness. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's nice to have you. Welcome into the museum. I would put Cecropia slightly above Atlas, same tier. I see. I see. I love your look so much. Thank you. Thank you. Um, it's a very average. Well, maybe I'll put it above a bumblebee, below an Atlas, just because again I think the Atlas has so much of its iconicness going for it, being the second largest moth. They're huge. So very run of the mill Saturnidae moth, nothing too special. But we are going to move on to, I'm going to say it now. I think it's another S tier. I prefer it to its similar cousin, the Chinese moon moth. Let me get its scientific name because I also don't know that at the top of my head. Chinese moon moth. Octius dubernardi. I'm probably not pronouncing any of that right, but yes. Yeah, your look is genuinely great. The silky silver hair coupled with the darkness of the mouth. Thank you, thank you. I'm very happy with how my mama forged my porcelain. It turned out very good. I'm lucky this is the vessel I possess right now. But yes, Chinese moon moth. They look very similar to a Luna moth, but I think they're cooler. The males are kind of a bit more vivid. They have those really bright greens and pinks, and the females kind of have more typical Luna moth coloring, where it's that pale green with the pale dusty pink at the tips. But like, imagine a Luna moth, except it has little comets on its tail. They're so pretty, and kind of like a swallowtail when you see them flap their wings, watching those little comets on their bottom wings flutter in the wind. It's so pretty. They're beautiful. Welcome in, Ness. You're welcome in. And I believe they are below a silk moth, because again, I'm very biased. They're below a silk moth, but they're S tier. Chinese moon moth, mwah. Of typical of its name is native to China. Yeah, I prefer the moon moth too. I would also put it on a weak S so that Luna moth can get A. Exactly. But yes, they're, as the name suggests, they are native to China. It is a Chinese species of moth. Again, Asia gets all of the good moths. Asia and South America. Hi, Yuri, just popping in to say hi while I'm at work. Well, welcome in. I'm always happy when you can pop by. Thank you. And we have quite a few heavy hitters in a row. Because we just had the Chinese moon moth. Beautiful creature. Next up is another one of my favorites. I don't know if it's S tier, but it's definitely high A tier. I don't know why I'm so transfixed on this kind of specific moth, um, but it's a cinnabar moth. They are so cute. If the Cecropia was a emo moth, this is a goth moth. This is a goth moth, and so is the one coming after it, for that matter. But this is a very goth moth. It's so cute. It's fluffy little body, and it's red and black wings with the deeper black around its feathers. It's so cute. It's so cute. Um, and I believe the cinnabar moth is yes, another it has kind of a strange range. Its range is actually very large, all things considered. It has been introduced in a lot of places for like pest control and things like that, and because they can kind of easily coexist with other species of moth. But I believe it's also a Central Asian moth, not a South Asian, but a Central Asian. But it has been brought over to other places because they're one of those insects that they're not really invasive when you bring them places, but they can be added to an ecosystem without causing too much damage. They're one of those things that can help combat invasive species sometimes. Welcome in, Sonata. Welcome in. So I don't think a cinnabar is S tier. You look amazing. Thank you, thank you. Oh, so many sweet little oddities today. Thank you. Yes, don't think it's S tier. I am putting it above everything else in A tier. Top of the A tier. Very good moth. And speaking of goth moths, we're 2 for 2 with the goth moths. Classic. Fun fact about this moth, it is one of the only moths. Sorry, I have to go before I get flooded with people. Hope stream goes well. Thank you. Thank you for dropping by, and good luck at work. Good luck at work. I'm sending you my blessings. Mwah. But yes, I forgot to mention this when talking about the bumblebee hawk moth, hummingbird hawk moth. Hawk moths are actually one of the only species of moth that can eat. Usually, when moths emerge out of their cocoon, they lose their digestive systems and they lose their ability to eat. But hummingbird, just hawk moths in general, hawk moths have very long proboscis and they, for the most part, maintain their digestive system. So they're actually able to eat. So when keeping hummingbird hawk moths, you have to feed them. And you usually feed them like a little bowl of nectar. I've seen some people have to hand feed them, like with a syringe. But some people, if they're keeping a whole flock of hawk moths, they can just put it in a little dish and they'll all scurry over and eat. But yes, they're actually one of the more long-lasting moths because they do have a digestive system. Um, if you didn't know, for the most part, when moths emerge out of a cocoon, they fuck a lot, they have a lot of sex, and then they die because they starve to death. I hear hawk moths and I think about a French man singing about his desire to rule the world. They look kind of mean. No, exactly, exactly. But yes, most moths, they fucking die. They reproduce, they lay their eggs, and then they die. The whole point of emerging and becoming a moth is to reproduce. I don't know why it is. I don't know why it has happened that way, but that is the purpose of being a moth. They fucking die the good life. Exactly. That's what happened to me. That's how I died the first time. I had made beautiful love, and then I got crushed by a chandelier and killed. So that's the kind of life you want to live. But yes, deathheads, hawk moths are one of the few moth species that actually do eat. And so they're also very iconic. And I want to put the death's head hawk moth in S tier, but I'm trying to think, is a death's head hawk moth above a Chinese moon moth? I'm going to say it is at the bottom of S tier just because, again, the comets on a Chinese moon moth sell it for me. Watching them move in the wind, beautiful. So they are S tier, but I don't think this next one might get put in D tier actually. They are S tier, but they're on the low end. Actually, I see a few that might get put in D tier. The next one we have is going to be, so I put it above the moon moth. The black and yellow just hits. It's very pretty. I love that kind of contrast. I love when moths have very contrasting colors like that, especially the black base with a bright kind of almost neon color to counteract it. It's very pretty. This next one is going to be an Eastern tent moth. It's a very common, boring kind of moth. I actually don't even know its main classification. Judging by how it looks. Let me see if I'm right. Yeah. Okay. So they are kind of similar to a lot of clothes moths, carpet moths. They're a very basic kind of moth. Honestly, I feel like no, I don't actually think there's other clothes moth on this list, but they're boring. They're brown. They're fuzzy. They're okay. Um, but yes, the Eastern tent caterpillar moth. Um, I don't even care to say its scientific name out loud. Uh, Malacosoma americanum is the Eastern tent moth. They're nothing special. You could see this anywhere. I mean, it might not be the exact same species, but there's like a million species that look like this. It is a D tier for me. It's cute because it's fuzzy, but it's nothing special. Most moths are a little fuzzy if you look at them under a microscope. Eastern tent moths, very common, nothing special. But then we move on to the emperor moth. Emperor moths, I believe they do have some color variation, but they are very pretty. They have the most striking eye pattern imaginable on a moth. Like, I think they have the best eye pattern I've ever seen on a moth. And I really love all of their color variations. You have those ones that are kind of those bright golds and blacks and with the reds and the whites, but you also have sometimes, depending on exactly where they are, that are very light gray with the dark in the center and reds at the tips. It's very pretty. And I like their white antenna. Their white feathered antenna are so pretty. They're so cute and delicate. I believe their color actually also is a sex characteristic. So if I remember correctly, I think the males are a bit more colorful than the females. But yes, the emperor moth, another good one. I think the emperor moth is to go between A tier, between Cinnabar and Black Witch. Very good moth. I'm rating all the moths too high. I'm too kind to moths. I love them all so much. They're just all so pretty. I concur with that rating. See, we're doing numbers. We're making the money moves. We're making the money moth moves. So Emperor Moth, classic, beautiful. I believe, if I remember correctly, this is going to be another moth. A lot of Saturnidae are in Asia. I could be wrong. This could be another. Um, oh, actually, I just looked it up. They are a UK moth. They're the rare UK good moth. I wanted to say Asia just because that's where a lot of Saturnidae are, especially those really big ones. They can get kind of large, about almost like 3 inches in size sometimes. Uh, uh, but yes, they're a UK moth, and they're very pretty and big for a UK moth. You don't really get a lot of the big moths there. I think because I don't think the UK has very good environments for fostering big insects. Something I've noticed about while on my vacation is where I live. You don't get a lot of bigger wildlife actually because a lot of the size of wildlife very much depends on the nutrients in its soil. I found out from my ecology friend. And so that's why where I live, we don't get a lot of big animals. And I think it might be a similar case for the UK. I don't know for sure, but I don't see a lot of big insects in the UK. So I can only imagine it's like its ecology and the nutrients density of its actual land might not be the best for accommodating creatures of that size. But yes, beautiful. Emperor moth, high A. Right next to the cinnabar moth, right behind it, close second in the A tier. Next one we have, this is like the more cunty brother of the American dagger moth. We are looking at the fall webworm. Fun fact, bugs are having one of the worst times, if not the worst time ever they've had since they first evolved. I mean, I can imagine. They're bugs are very sensitive, especially a lot of their uh, a lot of their physicality is dependent on things like soil, but also like oxygen content. And so I don't think the oxygen content right now of the of the current world is enough to let them thrive like they did way before. Like I mean, think back to like the prehistoric periods of history where there was not a lot of fighting for oxygen back then, and I mean it was like a lot of ocean life, but bugs and like crustaceans and like early crustaceans, they share a lot in common. They're invertebrates. It's like shrimps are bugs. Shrimps is bugs, and so you can kind of look to bug evolution at some points in like crustaceans evolution. And so I think the biggest thing right now is there is so much oxygen to be had amongst all the living creatures that bugs don't have enough oxygen to reach their full potential. Bugs will always be here, but I think bugs could be better. I think we need to start making bugs better. It's not about the oxygen, it's about ecology in general. Bugs have lost more or less some 30% of their diversity and numbers in the last few decades. Yes, there's been a lot changing, but again, bugs are resilient. Um, but I think I'm just on a kick. I was watching a whole series of I don't know what. I got sucked down a prehistoric bug pipeline a little bit ago, and that's how I started learning about bugs and oxygen content. Um, but yes, oxygen is very much integral to the evolution of bugs. But yes, I don't know how we got on this path from fall webware moths. The Hyphontria cunea is, again, the cuntier brother to the American dagger moth. They're cute, they're fluffy. I like that they're almost pure white, except for those little specks of, they have the little specks of black, and then they have those cute little black, um, they have those cute little black antenna. Um, I think they're very cute, and I like their fluffiness. Are they anything I'm crazy about? No. They're actually one of the moths that are native to North America, though. It's funny because with a lot of bugs, you'll find that uh, it's usually the case that there will be a bug that lives in like East Asia and then will be brought over to America and will become invasive in America. But fall webworms are the opposite. They are native to America, and then at some point they got brought over to East Asia, and now they're invasive in East Asia. But they're native to America. They're very cute. I like them better than the American dagger moth, but I don't think I like them too crazy. I'm gonna put them in B tier below the awesome moth. I think that's where they're resting. Um, this next one, I'm trying not to put it too high because it just has a really cool name. But I think it's also cool. Again, it's another dagger moth, but it's a cooler looking dagger moth. I mean, it's like, I have to see because this picture isn't um, at its full wingspan. I need to see if I can find an open wing picture of this moth because the tier list does not have one. Just so you can, yes. And okay, so we are talking about the funerary dagger moth, which is the most metal name ever. It has a bit of color variation. It can either be more white or kind of a darker gray, but it's white with these kind of beautiful black shapes on its wings and its lower set of wings, which are usually folded underneath, are these kind of beautiful whitish transparent color. And its larva looks so cool. It's black with a bunch of weird, I don't know what those spines are like technically called, but it has a bunch of black spines on it shooting in all different directions, and it has like yellow dots running down its back. And so its larvae also gives it some points. But yes, the funerary dagger moth. I do think it gets some points for having a cool last name, and I think that's why I'm partial to it. but it is just a regular dagger moth. Goth GF like name. I would give it a strong B. Sure, it's cool, but we've seen some heavy hitters already. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I think we're going to put the funerary dagger moth at the top of B tier. So above awesome and fall webworm, I think is where the funerary dagger moth is going. What's next? Yes, the garden tiger moth. The garden tiger moth. This is going to be a difficult one. I think this is going to be a controversial opinion because it has very pretty coloring, but I'm not a big fan of it. Like its coloring is very distinct and very clear and interesting looking. I just don't like exactly how it looks. I don't know. It doesn't thrill me. I mean, it's like it's interesting. Hello, do you think moths are amazing or not? I think moths are the greatest creatures ever made, and I think we should bow to them. I think we should embrace them as our new rulers, and we should base all of our worship and religion around moths. That's what I think. But that's just my humble opinion. You don't have to listen to me, but I really think you should. The patterns are odd and not in a great way. Exactly. It's like gaudy. It's like that period of time in like what was it, like 2008, where people really were trying to like do like the modern vibe, and it was like the grays and the reds and oranges and the blacks and the whites. Ugh, and it's like all boxy and boring. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like a modern home made by like a, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of demographic decorated like that. I like pushed it so far out of my mind, but they're ugly. I'm gonna put them in high D tier. I'm sorry, I know that might be controversial. I won't bow to anything, partly because I'm a crab and I don't have a spine to bend, and also because everything evolves into crabs. A mom that wants to feel like a teen. Exactly. You know what? You got it right on the head. A mom that wants to feel like a teen. High D tier. I believe it's better than an Eastern tent moth. At least it has some intrigue, but I'm not too crazy about it. So that's high D tier for us. And then we have, oh my goodness, I'm at half my battery and we have so many moths. We have so many more moths. I got to speed it up. I was like, I want to tell everyone about all the moths as much as I can, but my phone's going to die and I can't charge it. I usually have my phone plugged in when I stream, but I can't today. Next up is the honey locust. I actually didn't even have to look. I know that one. The honey locust moth. It is a very. You look at it and I'm like, yes. Let me also try to find a picture because the picture in here does not have its wings out. Just so I can kind of describe it at its best. The honey locust moth, typically yellow, very pretty yellow color, and it doesn't look like much with its wings together, which is why I wanted to find a picture with its wings out. But when its wings are a bit more unfurled, it has pink flower petals underneath, like wings that look just like pink flower petals. And that is so precious. It looks like a salmon with its gills exposed. I have no idea how that makes me feel. I like that. Salmon are one of my favorite kinds of fish. I love salmon. I almost considered doing some fish tier lists, but I wasn't going to do all that. I have strong fish opinions as well. Not as strong as moth opinions, but I do have some strong fish opinions. But yes, the honey locust moth ranges from, it's a species of sphinx moth, I believe. I believe it is at least closely related to sphinx moths. But it usually either has a brownish gray or a yellowish main color to its body. And then underneath, it has those really pretty pink, petals, which I thought that is just so cute. And its name is also really cute. I think the honey locust moth, I'm not the biggest fan of sphinx moths and their close relatives. I'm going to put it in low B. I think we're going to go low B just because those flower petal wings sell it. They sell it. Next, we are going to do, I believe, I don't know the exact species. I believe this is Eurasian hummingbird hawk moth. Yes, yes, a Eurasian hummingbird hawk moth. They are very cute. When people describe a hummingbird moth, they have it right on the nose. I actually have a bunch of hummingbird hawk moths native to my area, and you can actually mistake them for hummingbirds because they'll come to the hummingbird feeders and they'll feed and they'll look just like a hummingbird until you look closely and you realize it's a cute little moth. Eurasian hummingbird hawk moths, though, they are on. I'm going to do high C, so they're going to go above American dagger moths because I like hummingbird hawk moths, but their coloration is nothing crazy. Have you seen that artist on Twitter making big fluffy moth comics? I think I have. If we're thinking about the same person, I think I have. I think they're a friend of mine, maybe. If we're thinking about the right person, I can't say for certain. Um, yes, hummingbird hawk moth, high C, above American dagger, but C tier. They're pretty, they're a cute moth, but we have a better hummingbird hawk moth on the list. Next one is the imperial moth. I also didn't have to look at that one. It is another, is this one, I believe it is another, is it no, it's not a sphinx. Oh, it is Saturnidae. Okay, I thought as much looking at its kind of like body mass. The Saturnidae are all the big bulky moths. But it has kind of a sphinx-like coloring, but not the body shape. The imperial moth. No, not the imperial moth. Yes, the imperial moth. I always get it confused with the emperor moth. Similar name. They're cute. I like that they're big. But they're very boring. I mean, their camouflage works well. So I think the camouflage working well gives it some points because it's serving its purpose and it's surviving. But it's kind of boring. I like, the camouflage is cool, but I could look outside and see a leaf that looks just like this. I just love moth to me as well. I'm a big moth fan. I'm the biggest moth fan, maybe. I don't want to step on your toes, but I like to think, yeah, but we haven't addressed the functionality of the other moth's colors. That's true. That's true. I'm just trying to be generous. I'm trying to be generous. It's a boring moth. But I am partial to Saturnidae. Can't bring in factors in the middle of a run. That's true. That's true. We're gonna do mid C. I feel like moth enthusiasts meeting moth experts. Exactly, exactly. We're at our table. We're at our table, folding our hands together, having very serious business discussions about moths. The imperial moth is going to be C tier in the middle of hummingbird hawk moth, Eurasian hummingbird hawk moth, and above a American dagger moth. Next one. Oh, this is the better version of the imperial moth. It's the EO moth. I prefer things with harder exterior, but since they're still arthropods, I am in the room with my chalky milk. I love a good fluffy arthropod, an invertebrate. I've kept a lot of inverts in my time. I like that moths are squishy. I think it's cute. Eagle moth. I don't think there's an eagle moth on here. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But yes, EO moth is what we're talking about. IO. It's another. I think it is the. If I had to guess correctly, it is the. It is definitely one of the giant moth species. I don't know if it's in the top 5. I want to say it might be the. It's definitely a very big species of moth, one of the giants. So IO, it is the Automeris Io, or Io. I guess it's pronounced Io. I thought it was Io, and I think that's because there's a song I like called Io. But Io, Automeris Io. The eye spots are very pretty. Again, it's like everything the imperial moth could be. It's everything the imperial moth could be. Very pretty. I love its eye spots. We love a good eye spot. I think the Io moth, Vestal tiger moth, looks adorable. Reminds me of a moth in Hollow Knight. I wonder if this was the inspiration. Which moth? Which moth? Because there's a few moths. Are you thinking of the Are you thinking of Gray Mourner or Radiance. Oh, that'd be cute if it was Radiance. There's quite a few. There's Grey Mourner, and then there's the Dream Seeker, and then there's Radiance. And then there's Grim, kind of. I like the headcanon that Grim from Hollow Knight is like the Radiance's like younger brother. I think it's very cute. But anyways, that's an aside. Yes, there's quite a few moths. There's not a lot of moths in Hollow Knight, but there's a few of them. But yes, we are going to put the Io moth B tier because it's still not like the craziest. I'm not the craziest about it, but it's cute. Radiance, and I'm surprised you know Hollow Knight. Why would I not know Hollow Knight? There's paranormal activity going on in the bathtub, but we're not going to worry about it. I love bugs. Why wouldn't I have played the bug game? I love Hollow Knight. It's very good. Why wouldn't I know Hollow Knight? I love bugs. Yes, we're putting the Io moth. B tier. I'm going to put it right behind the Arane. Welcome in, Arane. Hello, hello. Silk Song Copium. No, exactly. We're in the Silk Song Copium. That game's never coming out. I fully believe it. It's never coming out. Anyways, I've given up on so long. We're putting the Io moth tier, second place, behind the funerary dagger moth, but above the awesome moth. I just woke up. Hi, Yuri. I can tell you just woke up. Look at that typing. Goodness gracious. But good morning. Good morning. I'm blessed that I am your morning entertainment. Io moth, second place in B tier, right behind the funerary dagger moth, just because I like that the funerary dagger moth is really carrying itself with the goth points. It's really carrying itself with the goth points. Next one. This one I'm really unsure about. This one I'm very unsure about. It's the Japanese. Are you posting this on Twitter? Yes, I will post it on Twitter, and I'll find a way to also put it on put the species name on Twitter as well. It is the Antheria yamamai. It is the Japanese silk moth, Antheria yamamai. I love silk moths. I love the big fluffy silk moths. They're very cute and they're very big. And it is another silk moth that has been kind of domesticated. I don't know if they're considered domestic, but they have been cultivated. And so they produce a lot of silk. They are a very big silk producer. So they're another big silk moth. And I love silk moths, but their colors aren't doing it for me. Their colors are kind of giving very basic. So I'm trying to think. But they're cute. They're fluffy. But that's all they have going for them. I'm going to put the Japanese silk moth. Their eyes look so adorably goofy. Yeah. A lot of the kind of silk moths that we actually harvest silk from, they have the big googly eyes that look like boba pearls. This is what you're sacrificing when you drink boba, by the way. I'm going to put the Japanese silk moth high C tier. High C tier. Above everything else. It is currently leading C tier. It's cute. I like that it's a silk moth, but its coloration doesn't do much for me. And if I'm going to go for a silk moth, I'm going to go for the classic Bombyx Mori. Next one. Next classic. The Atticus Luna, the Luna moth. I found a fluffy moth called Polilia de Cecropia. Yes, we actually talked about Cecropia moths earlier. Where did they land? Where did I put them? Oh, yes, they're low A tier. It makes me feel really bad when I see TikToks of silk moths because they look so sad they can't fly. I know. But if I was a moth, maybe I'd like being a silk moth. Maybe I'd like being a silk moth because I just have my life handed to me. I can just walk. I'm fed throughout my childhood. I am raised and then I'm put into the perfect environment to just reproduce. They can't fly. Yes, most silk moths, especially the ones we use for silk farming, they cannot fly. Because in breeding them to produce a lot of silk when they pupate, they gain so much body mass that their wings can't carry them anymore. That's especially the case with the Bombyx Mori. Their wings are very small and their bodies are really, really, really fat and dense. And that's just a side effect of being bred for silk. You get to fucking die without having to fly for it. Exactly. They're so fucking chunky. Exactly. Exactly. You hardly have to lift a finger. But yes, Atticus luna, the classic Luna moth. Again, Chinese moon moth reigns superior, but Luna moth is still pretty good. Luna moths are native to where I live, which is very fun because if I start raising Luna moths, that means I can release them without having to worry about damaging my area's already extremely fragile ecosystems. That is rife for homing invasive species. But the Luna moth, classic, very pretty. Everybody loves them. And they're popular for a good reason. Luna moths are beautiful. Luna goes on A for me, as previously stated. Exactly. Exactly. But here's the thing. Do I like Luna moths more than I like cinnabar moths? Cinnabar moths, for some reason, again, they hold a very particular place in my heart. So I'm just not sure. Actually, give me one moment. I'm so thirsty and the heater is on. Give me a moment, just 1 minute, and then we'll decide. We're back. I have my Pepsi. But yes, the Luna moth look like fairies to me. Yes, no, they're so cute. They're like fairies. But again, I have the Chinese moon moth in S tier. So those even look. If you haven't looked it up yet, look up a Chinese moon moth. If you want to see a moth that looks like a fairy, look it up. I put it below the cinnabar. Beating the red flags goth GF allocations isn't easy. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. A tier, but it's usurping the Emperor moth for second place, but it's still behind the Cinnabar moth. They just hold such a near and dear place in my heart. They're very pretty. Atticus luna, the iconic. And when you think of a moth, you think of a Luna moth. Next one is I believe, is this just a Yes. Okay. So we have, and they're fluffy too. No wonder they're S tier. Exactly. Exactly. A lot of Saturnidae are the very fluffy kinds of moth species. They're not like exactly like silk moths. Oh, excuse me. In which they're so fluffy they can't fly, but they are the big bulky species of moths. Next up, we have another moon moth. We have a Madagascan moon moth, and this one is actually going to be really hard to place because I have mixed feelings about it. I like its colors, but also not. Well, do I like its colors? It really depends because when you get those ones with the really vivid browns and blacks, the Madagascan moon moth, I think I said that a little fast. Not the Madagascan sunset moth, the Madagascan moon moth. The Madagascan sunset moth is next. But yes, when you get those really deep browns with those almost kind of iridescent tips, they're very pretty. But I'm not exactly sure. We have so many moon moths on the list. This is a hard decision, but it does make a good point. It does have eyes, which eyes are always a plus. If I was a predator, that would be off looking because that's 4 eyes staring back at you. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, Madagascan moon moth, A tier. I'm sorry, I'm too kind to moths. I'm too nice to moths. Low A, exactly. Exactly. It has styles over the other yellowish moths, but it still leaves room to be desired. I'm going to put it. I think I'm going to put it between. I think I'm going to put it between the Atlas moth and the Cecropia moth. That's where the Madagascan moon moth is going. Again, we have so many other moon moths, and moon moths are all beautiful, but this one isn't anything special to me. However, the next one, the Madagascan sunset moth, I don't think about this one too much, but they're very pretty. They're beautiful. The thing I'm wondering is why do they have that long part on the part of their wings? I'm not exactly sure, like the purpose of it. If I had to guess, it's some sort of they're I actually didn't know they're also the Madagascan moon moth is also called a comet moth, but I'm not sure the exact purpose. I have to be honest with you. I just think they're pretty. But yes, Madagascan sunset moth, another Madagascan moth. Um, Beautiful. They honestly, I'm a big fan. I almost asked to put butterflies on this list as well, um, but they look very similar to a blue morpho butterfly, which of course I'm partial to. That's Yuri's favorite. um, they're beautiful though. They very much look like they look very much like butterflies. There's not much of a difference between moths and butterflies. I don't think, but they're very pretty with those big ridged wings, those beautiful iridescent colors with the black to contrast. Mm. But again, here's the thing. The Madagascan moon sunset moth does not occupy a lot of my brain space. There are moths I like more. It's very pretty, but I don't think about it often. So I don't want to rank it too high. I don't think it's S tier for me. Because like all the moths in S tier so far, they're always in my brain. I'm always thinking about them. Let me see. Okay, Madagascan sunset moth. They are going in A tier, third place. So behind Cinnabar and Luna moth, they are third place, A tier, high A. The A tier is the biggest tier so far. The lunate zeal moth looks like rock camouflage. There's a lot of moths that look like that. It's very interesting. There's a lot of moths that look like rocks or leaves. By that metric, no moth would get S tier. There would be a fuck ton of crabs reading in that tier. No, exactly. And the next one, Madagascan sunset moth. I actually, at first glance, I thought this was another sphinx moth. Sphinx moths have a very particular way their body is shaped, but it's another hawk moth. Sphinx moths have a kind of long, more rigid looking body, and then they have these very slender wings with a kind of like I'm trying to almost like a cleaver shaped curve to them. They have a very specific shape, and that's why I thought this moth was a. I thought this moth was a sphinx moth at first. I actually thought it was a white banded sphinx moth for some reason, even though they look nothing alike. But they're not a sphinx moth. They're the oleander hawk moth. And here's the thing: it's like it's all right. I'm gonna just say it. Oleander hawk moth. Right above C tier, right above American dagger moth. It's pretty. I like the greens, and the I like the white and the little bit of pinks, but it's nothing I'm too crazy about. I'm actually not a big fan of like the shape of like sphinx moths like that, and because it has kind of a sphinx moth shape, it's just not my cup of tea. No joke. When I saw the Madagascar sunset moth, I thought of Gasloon immediately. Exactly. The unfortunate thing is there's something kind of pretty about how like spilled oil looks. That kind of like iridescent neon on the blacks. It's very pretty. But I don't blame you for thinking that. Yeah. Not much to say on the oleander hawk moth. Low C tier. Still better than American dagger moth, but not my favorite. I'd put it on low B for the wing shape. That's exactly it. I'm not the biggest fan of that wing shape. I like the fuller, fluffier wings. Next up, we have the Polyphemus moth, another classic. But I like Polyphemus moths, but I think there's so many other moths that do it better. Like they have the eyes and they have those big wings, but there's so many moths that do it better, honestly. I'm going to put Polyphemus moth mid C tier. I'm going to put it behind the imperial moth, but above the oleander hawk moth. Again, it's like it's cute enough. It's not like D tier, but it's nothing to write home about. This is another one I'm kind of this next one is another one I'm kind of on the fence about. We have the regal moth. I'm going too fast now. Because I sped up because my battery was dying too quick, but now I'm going too fast. So let's take our time to appreciate the moth. I think we just got a bunch of mid moths at once. What's the biggest moth? That would be the white witch moth, which is at the. I think that's what ties off the list, just because it's in alphabetical order. But yes, the regal moth, or the is that I'm going to assume that's a soft C. So the Citheronia regalis is a North American moth. It's another Saturnidae. So those big long wings, big fat wings with the big fat abdomen, very fluffy. They're pretty. I am a sucker for those kinds of deep oranges with those jewelly looking, almost like kind of like an like a what is that the stone I'm thinking of? Um, yes, almost kind of like an opaly blue to it, and I like the white as well. Again, it's nothing crazy, but I do. It is a color combination I am particularly fond of. So the regal moth, I'm going to say it's going to be B tier, but I'm going to put it above a fall webworm and below. And no, actually, I think I'm going to bump it up to between the Io moth, below the Io moth, but above the awesome moth, because it just is consistently good. The awesome moth, I like when they have a very specific variation, but I don't like. I don't like them all the time. So I think the regal moths are consistently good. They're very pretty. So we're going to keep the regal moth above an awesome. Like even its color variations when it's a bit duller, I enjoy. I think it's a good one. Another classic, but to be debated where I put it is the rosy maple moth. This is the one I love moths because they're like fluffy bees without stingers. Exactly. They're so cute. It's so hard to look at moths and not see horrendously horrific AI generated images. Rosy maple moth. It is a classic. It is the it girl of moths. It is pink and yellow, and it has fuchsia legs and antenna. It's so cute. It's really cute. It's small, and I'm usually not a I'm not a big fan of the smaller species of moths, but it is still a Saturnidae, so it still has that nice fluffiness. I forgot how good yellow and pink can go together. Exactly. It's so cute. It's so cute. It's such a cute moth. I'm gonna. I don't know if it's S tier. I don't know if it's S tier, but it's so cute. It's the. Now I might butcher this one as well. It's the Dryocampa rubicunda is the rosy maple moth, and it is another North American moth. And fun fact, if you're in North America, you might be able to find this moth. I believe it's actually a it actually has a very big range now that I think about it. You can go from all the way up north to Canada to all the way in the south. I have returned. Hello, to all the way in the south. It's a little bit more eastern, but it has a pretty large range, and so you can see them in a lot of places in America. You can actually find them and pick them up, which also gives it points. I like a lot of these moths. I like to rank higher because I can go outside and see them if I'd like. I think the rosy maple moth still doesn't beat a cinnabar moth for me, but I am putting it above a Luna moth. So A tier, second place, right behind cinnabar. They're very cute. They're very iconic. And then this one is a ruby tiger moth, if I am not mistaken. Yes, a ruby tiger moth. This does it better than the garden tiger moth. It is like, imagine a garden tiger moth with a little bit of different colors. Welcome in, hyena. Welcome in. Yes, we're talking about moths. I enjoy the ruby tiger moth's colors a bit more. It's still not like wowing me, especially because they do have a bit of variation. Ruby tiger moths, of course. Lamp. No, exactly. We're lamping here. This is where we lamp. They are known for their kind of red bodies with those black speckles, but they do have a bit of variation. I'm not the biggest tiger moth fan in general. I think they're very plain. Tiger moths are kind of It's something that reminds me of strawberries. Oh, that definitely gives it a few points now that you mention it, because it does kind of look like a strawberry. Wing lamping is now going to be how I describe talking about my favorite topics. I'm always happy when I can change somebody's vocabulary forever. We lamping, we lamping. Uh, but it's again, its variations kind of leave some to be desired. I think I'm going to put it C tier, the ruby tiger moth. I'm not a big fan of tiger moths because, again, I don't like the smaller. By the way, I'm not going to try to pronounce that one's scientific name. It's very long, and I don't want to embarrass myself more than I have. But it's very. I just don't like tiger moths. I don't like their small little bodies. I don't like how they're shaped, and I don't like their colorations. Unrelated to the moths, or not so much. I am loving your stream and your vibes, entertaining, expressive, but really chill and composed. I feel like your yaps are almost not taxing my human battery. Thank you. That's I say it all the time. That's what I really try. I don't. I think it's presumptuous to call myself like cozy, but I try to be low energy. I don't have a lot of energy myself. Again, everyone calls me grandma. I usually am in bed. I usually am in bed by 10 p.m. This is actually pretty late for me to be streaming. Um, but I'm very low energy myself, so I try to make my space match that. Have Luna Moths been talked about? Yes. Luna Moths are high A tier, but they're not quite S tier. S tier, if you really want to see like a Luna Moth, but everything is done better, look up a Chinese moon moth. Look up a Chinese moon moth. They're beautiful. I love the comets on their tails. Angel gets it, just deep fried 180p quality moth images with just lamp. Exactly, exactly. Not exactly cozy, but certainly chill. There's not enough cute to be cozy. Exactly. I feel like cozy is the title that's given to you. I'm kind of like I want to I think I'm a bit more uncanny. I think I'm a bit too uncanny to be cozy. It looks like a kite. That's so pretty. Exactly. Exactly. They're like Luna moths, but they're like the cooler Luna moth. Luna moths are good. Luna moths are good. Still high A tier. I can appreciate a good moth. See, we're all moth appreciators around here. I would call you Zen if you're going for the one word titles. I would never have thought to call myself Zen, but you know what? I'm honored. I'm honored. Um, so we're at the southern, we're actually close to the end of the list here. Oh my goodness. We only have 6 more moths. I'm just a sucker for fluffy moths. I want to cuddle them. Exactly. Why couldn't they be bigger as birds? If they had enough oxygen content and soil, nutrients dense soil, perhaps they could be as big as birds. I really want, those squishables that sell the Plague Doctor plushies? They also sell really giant moth plushies, and I want one so bad. But whenever I see them, I don't have any money. It's like whenever I see something I really would love, I'm broke. But one day I'll have one. They have really big moth plushies, and they're so cute. But yes, the next moth we are going to be talking about is the southern flannel moth. And this one, it has kind of a similar um, color variation to a lot of really common moths, but they are so cute. They look like teddy bears. That's another name, a scientific name I cannot begin to pronounce. Wait, what's the name again? Southern flannel moth. Southern flannel moth. Um, they're so cute. They're really fluffy. They have big feet, big fluffy feet. And even if their colors are kind of basic, they do it well. That kind of like gold and the white and the black. And their caterpillars are literally just hair. They're literally just a ball of fluff. If you look up a southern flannel moth caterpillar, it's just a ball of fluff. It's so cute. They don't look real. They look like teddy bears. S tier, I don't care. It's S tier to me. I was thinking S tier. This is actually one I didn't know about until recently. They're so cute. They're so cute. And if I had to remember, let me double check just so I'm not um, wrong. Yes, they are another South to Southern America. Mothra would be proud right now. Exactly, exactly. It's a very Mothra core moth. They're so fluffy. They're so cute. I actually didn't learn about them until recently. Mothra, best girl? Exactly. Exactly. Mothra, moth wife. That's all I'll say. Yes, Southern flannel moth, S tier. There's so many good things about it. They are so sweet. I will say it's at the bottom of my S tier because I haven't been given the time to really love it as much as the other three yet. But S tier, that is another S tier. Next one is the stinging rose moth, and this one is kind of a similar structure to a to the other tiger moths. I actually think it might be in the same family. The stinging rose moth, Parasa indetermina. Imagine your scientific name being indeterminate. That's like embarrassing. Um, the stinging rose moth. It has very cool looking larvae. Yes, the larvae look alien. Exactly. It has very cool looking larvae. And compared to the other moths of its stature, I do enjoy it a bit more. I like those greens. I like those I like the colors that it has, the yellows and the browns. It's almost like if a Luna moth were shaped like a tiger moth. I think I think we're gonna put the stinging rose moth. There's nothing special about it, but I do enjoy it. It has to. It's better than um, the other again tiger moths. I think we're gonna put it all the way at the bottom of D tier, low B for me. I think its name also gives it some points. The stinging rose moth is just so cool sounding. And we have rated a few based on names. So that's not something that's I'm adding last minute, I promise. Next one, automatic D tier. Bottom of D tier, one of the ugliest moths there is. I've talked before that I don't like sphinx moths and their wing shape. It's the Virginia creeper sphinx moth. They are about as boring as you can get. I even like more like I even like the common clothes moths because at least they're kind of fluffy and cute. But I don't like sphinx moths and I don't like the coloration on the Virginia creeper sphinx moth. And it's like whenever I go outside and I see a big moth, I'm always disappointed when it turns out to be a Virginia creeper. I'd give it low C, not D. I have strong opinions about sphinx moths. They're not my favorite. They're not my favorite. Again, instant low D. They're boring. You live in Virginia? No, I do not. But they have a big range. They sometimes make it down to where I live. Uh, a lot of moths they have a rather large range, so you can find them all across the country. Even if they were named after a specific place, it's usually either they're named after where they're most bountiful or where they were discovered. So you could find them in many places. Yeah, Virginia Sphinx moth. I don't have anything to say. Not Virginia Sphinx moth, Virginia creeper. Also, Virginia creeper makes this feel like a special crimes unit episode. Exactly. It's like I feel like its name also gives it some down points. It's a boring looking moth and it's called a creeper. That's like weird. It makes it sound gross. I don't want a creeper moth in my household. Next one. This is a some would think it's basic. I really love this, and I think you're going to be surprised. Creeper. Aw, man. Yeah, that was my second thought. That was my second thought at Creeper. Um, you might be surprised with how high I rank this. It is the wavy lined emerald moth. I love these moths. They're very simple, but they look like they kind of remind me of like uranium glass. That shade of green. That's one of my favorite shades of green, that antique glass green. It's so pretty. The Synchlora aerata is the scientific name for it. They are so pretty. They're another North American moth. Again, the Americas get all the good species. Another North American moth. And they seem very simple, but they're beautiful. The green is comforting. IDK why that is? No, exactly. I love that shade of green. So long as it doesn't irradiate the spicy like the spicy rock does, I'd give it a B. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put it in A tier. And this is going to be controversial. I think the, um, I think the wavy lined emerald moth goes above the Madagascar sunset moth. I'm putting it between Luna moth and Madagascar sunset moth. Again, that shade of green is just so perfect. And the Luna moth also shares that shade of green, which I think is why it gets a few more points. You're telling him you don't eat the green rocks with the purple rocks. I would like to put some uranium glass in my mouth. I think I'd survive. I think I'm built different enough. But yes, um, again, that might be controversial. High A for me, above the middle of A, between above a Madagascar. You're a doll. I'm sure you can't exactly. My teeth are also made of porcelain. I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can chew through some uranium glass, no problem. I already died once. I don't think I can die again. High A, beautiful moth, gorgeous. I love that color. And then next, well, I talked about this one a bit earlier, is a white lined sphinx moth. And this is actually one of the moths, one of the I don't think I can die again famous last words. Yeah, just wait a week. Nexus will be posting an announcement of my unfortunate, untimely second demise. I don't like sphinx moths that much. This one, however, this is a good sphinx moth. It's like, I think it's the colors, the white lined sphinx, the white lined sphinx. I can't pronounce a lot of my speech impediment gets in the way of pronouncing a lot of moth names. I think most of the sphinx moths I have trouble with. Oh no, this one's actually simple. Hylas lineata is the white line sphinx. Again, they're another sphinx moth that I like. Again, a lot of sphinx moths I don't care for, but this one is more hummingbird than sphinx, and so I have to give it bonus points. I don't know why they didn't just call it a hummingbird moth, but well, I guess they do sometimes. But it's more hummingbird than sphinx moth, which I enjoy. Um, and I like its colors. I like the black and the white with the little stripe of pink. It's very cute. It's not my favorite, but it's also not my least favorite. I think we're gonna put I think we're gonna put White Line Sphinx in B tier between Regal Moth and Awesome Moth. So high B tier. It's very cute. It's fluffy. It's got the pretty wing shape. That's another thing. It doesn't have the usual sphinx moth wing shape. Usually, when a moth is called a sphinx moth, it has that wing shape I'm not a big fan of. So, high B tier. And last, we're ending off on a beautiful note. The biggest moth that has been discovered. Let me remind myself exactly what the wingspan of this moth tends to be. It is the Thysania agrippina. It is also called the white witch moth. It is a Brazilian moth. I think we have a fellow Brazilian in this chat. It can get a wingspan of 12 inches. So imagine a foot. I don't know how big that is in centimeters. That's like 30 centimeters, right? Yes, 30 centimeters. A foot in length or 30 centimeters across. Um, it has the longest wingspan. The Atlas moth has technically has more wing area or wing mass, but it has the largest wingspan. It is like the largest moth, like when you're measuring from side to side and up and down. Um, for my fellow Americans, imagine a subway foot long. Exactly. A moth the size of a subway foot long. Beautiful. White witch. We have to love the name too. Another beautiful goth moth. The white witch, also called the ghost moth. And I even like its scientific name. Thysania is so cute. I feel like I could name a baby. Um, Thysania. It's so pretty. S tier. Easy S tier. In fact, I think it's gonna go. It's not gonna beat Bombix Mori. I think it's gonna go. The White Witch is gonna go third place. It is third place in our moth tier list. S tier, behind Bombix Mori, behind the Chinese moon moth, above the Death Head's hawk moth. Beautiful, beautiful moth. The White Witch moth. Biggest moth discovered, 12 inches long, 30 centimeters long in wingspan. They're beautiful. They're simple but effective. A very simple but effective moth. They kind of look like They kind of look like a, what's his face? How could I forget? They're like a Tim Burton moth. They're very pretty and they're very big. I would love to hold one. I'd love to hold one. Beautiful moths. They camouflage very well with trees as well. So yes, that is our moth tier list. White Witch is wrapping us up on a strong note. We're ending on a really high note with the White Witch moth. Iconic. No one does it like the White Witch moth. Still not my highest rated moth, but really far up there. So yes, that is our moth tier list. I'm very happy we did this. Wait, what's number one? Number one is the Bombyx mori or the domestic silk moth. That is our number one. I kind of, what was it? Wait, what was I saying? I got distracted. I like silk moths. Anyways, yes, I wasn't going, I wasn't really sure if I was going to stream while I was on vacation, but I'm happy I took a minute to talk about moths with you all. I'd love to talk more in depth. Maybe in the future I should do a stream where I take my top 5 favorite moths and I talk about them, or like just really interesting moths. I love moths so much. I'm glad I got to talk about moths. It was invigorating. I'm like sweating because I'm wearing a sweater because it's really cold here. It's colder than where I usually live. And the heater's on and I'm wearing a sweater, but I got too excited to talk about moths to take off my coat. And so I'm sweating, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm sweating, but I'm so happy. I will post, let me save the image. Download image. There it is, the image of my moths tier list that my friend made for me. But yes, I wasn't sure if I was going to stream, but I missed everyone so much. I felt so empty. I was like, you know that picture of that SpongeBob screen cap, and it's like Patrick and SpongeBob running outside and having fun, and Squidward is looking at them, having fun without him. That's how I felt watching everybody else stream. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to stream. And so I just had to. But I was like, I want to chat, but I have to do something. Like I can yap. Didn't you stream like last week? Yes. But I'm on vacation right now. I'm at my parents' house. I said it earlier in the stream, but some people might have missed it. I'm in a bathroom because that's the best place I have to stream right now. I'm in a bathroom and I have my streaming device leaned against my shitty Chromebook that I got from school. So that is the setup. Seen a lot of moth themed hoodies and shawls recently on Insta and Twitter. Loki, I want a moth hoodie. I want a moth shawl. I think I'd get more mileage out of a moth shawl. I don't like hoodies very much. I'm not a big fan of hoodies, but I love a shawl. That'd be so cute. But yes, very impractical setup. I'm using my shitty Chromebook from my school, and I have my phone leaned against it, and I'm in a bathroom sitting on a toilet, and the computer is on the sink because that is the best I could do. I found a multi-gender Cinnabar moth hoodie. Oh, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. That'd be so cute. Honestly, you did good for streaming in the bathroom. Exactly. Oh, whoa. Asa, welcome in. Hi, we just finished our moth tier list. We just finished our moth tier list. Hello, my liege. Hello, my liege. I should be calling you liege. Hello, welcome in. We just finished up our moth tier list, and we're just having some kind discussions before we wrap up, because that took much longer than I expected. Like I said, I had a bunch of other tier lists. Like I had household appliances and hardware tools, because I feel like that's more fun than like fast food tier lists. But we didn't get to it. We didn't get to it because we spent so much time talking about moths. But yes, I feel like I had something else to say. Ace's presence like completely like sucked my attention. We spent so much time talking about exactly. Moths are the best animal ever made. My fault, chat. Yes, it is your fault. Jail for 100 years. You're going to the dungeon. Not again. What do you mean not again? Who sent you to the dungeon already? Never mind. No jail, only kidnapping. Be with us. Yes, yes. I do like my fair share of kidnapping. Um, I meant to talk more about my vacation. It's been somewhat eventful, actually. I wasn't expecting it to be, but where I live, we don't get very big cities. You're being kidnapped. What have you been through? What have you seen? What traumas have you endured? What have I missed? You've been to the dungeon. You've been kidnapped. You've been in jail. Everyone hates you for some reason. Anytime Asa talks in any chat, like he starts typing and everyone's telling him to shut up before he can even send a message. I'm like, what has happened? What has transpired that I don't know of? But yes, it's been more eventful than I thought it would. I don't get very big cities where I live. Like I do live near a big-ish city, but it's nothing like where other places have to offer. So it's been more eventful than I thought. Yuri, a lot goes on. Like four of the people telling me to shut up that one time all claimed to be my mother. Yeah, I'm sorry for your mommy issues. I can't help with that. Maybe I can give you grandma issues. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have it in my heart to be mean to you. I feel like you're like a little misunderstood dog. Anyways, I've mostly, that's worse. Is it? No, 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 no. See, I'm saying I won't give you grandma issues. I don't have it in my heart. I don't have it in my heart. You're safe for now. Again, unless I find out like like the crimes you've committed and I change my mind. You're safe. I've mostly been eating food. That's usually what I do for now. Yes, for now. That's usually what I do whenever I travel anywhere. I'm so into food. I There was a really good Japanese restaurant I went to. I talked about it. I love any chance I get to put raw meat in my mouth is a good day. That's how you have a good day. So I went to a really good Japanese restaurant and that was really good. And then the next day I went to a mall and I got the food. The mall itself was really good, but the food court was awful. All the choices were really mid. And then even the stuff that's usually good was mid. Like the Pizza Villa looked disgusting. And Pizza Villa is usually safe. Oh, Yuri, on my stream, we were talking about Nexans who have a little guy. Nexans who have a little guy. Chat was trying to say your butterfly is a little guy. My butterfly is a little guy. I need to name it. I don't have a name for him yet. He kind of appeared in my life. My butterfly is a little guy. Wait, what butterfly? Oh, let me show you. See, here's my best friend. My best friend who is with me always. Oh, that little guy. Yes, maybe one of these days. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe when I debut on YouTube, we can decide on a name for him. Wink, 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 nudge, nudge. But yes, that's like Paul. maybe so. Maybe it is Paul. But yes, I've been eating a lot of food. Oh yeah, the food court was bad. I played it safe and I got like the teriyaki place, and I got fried rice, bourbon chicken, but the fried rice was full of eggshells and it was horrible. I couldn't eat it because I kept crunching eggshells and it was disgusting. Like it's not like gross, it's just annoying. I'm like, wow, you guys don't know how to crack an egg. That's like basic human function. There should not be that many eggshells in the fried rice. It was horrible. And the chicken was kind of mid too, but it's whatever. You know why it's whatever? Because for some reason, in some random mall in the South, they had a Near Automata gachapon. And so I took a few spins on the Near Automata gachapon and I got cute little rubber keychains. I got one of Pascal and I got one of the Commander. And that made me very happy. Though it also had an aquarium. The mall had an aquarium inside of it. Is your butterfly friends with Faylee's butterfly? I haven't spoken to Faylee much. Maybe I should ask Faylee if our butterflies can go on like a play date. Maybe we should maybe we should set them up. Maybe they should be the best of friends, our little children. Hello again. I hope all is well. Hello to you. I hope all is well with you as well. Things have been good. Butterflies but fluffy. That exactly. That's what a moth is. A moth is a butterfly but fluffy. It had an aquarium, which was quite crazy. I didn't go to the aquarium because I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to really badly. So that was crazy. And it was also the biggest Miniso I've ever seen. Like I went to the giant mall in Orlando at some point because I was also traveling there. And that Miniso was puny. That one was disappointing. This one was almost overwhelming. And I somehow only managed to spend $10 on myself in Miniso. You know what else it had? It had a Bass Pro Shops. I, as much as I talk about liking to fish, I've never been in a Bass Pro Shops. That place is magical. Magical. I did some shopping for one of my other family members who likes to fish. They had the fattest fucking catfish I've ever seen in my life. It had to be like 5 feet long, 3 feet wide. And it was just staring at me. I want to go to the Bass Pro Shops pyramid so bad. Me too. Me too. That is like my dream destination. That's my dream destination is the Bass Pro Shops pyramid. Did you find the Milfman I Love Fishing hat? Unfortunately, no. Bass Pro Shops isn't that based. I wish I did. Actually, where I live along the coast, and so there's a lot of shops that sell like fishing tourist like traps like that. There's a lot of places that sell like women want me fish fear me hats, and I really want to buy one so bad. But whenever I go back, they don't have it. They need to restock. Also, I used to have a pet catfish, and he was like a foot long, and he only ate live food. I love that. I strive to be like the eel pit guy. I want to be like the eel pit guy with all the gar and the eel and the catfish in a pit in my basement. That's what I want to be. Gar are my favorite fish. There was a there was a long nose gar, and long nose gar aren't my favorite gar, but they're really good gar. I love gar, and I love sturgeons. Sturgeons are so cute. Sturgeons are like a cuntier catfish to me. This makes sense in my head. It might not make sense to other people. That's so real. Just having a creature pit of horror. Exactly. Maybe there's an old god in there that the name cannot be said of the name cannot be said lest it makes your brain melt out of yours. Have you ever heard of insect house? Oh, let me look that up. Oh no, I haven't heard of this. Oh, it's an insect breeder. I remember seeing a YouTube short of a guy with a basement thing that was basically an aquarium and it had cinder blocks to walk on and the water was 2 feet high. That might be eel pit guy. That might be eel pit guy. He's like a TikTok guy. I used to watch the show River Monsters and some of the fish in them were wild. No, exactly. Exactly. It's crazy. Fish are beautiful. I love bugs. I love fish. I like bunnies are the top mammal for me. Wait, do you know the reason River Monsters ended? I feel like I do. I feel like I do. I feel like I heard something about it, but I can't remember. Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me why River Monsters ended. Because I feel like I remember hearing something crazy about River Monsters. They caught all the large freshwater fish there are, every last one. Yeah, no, exactly. It was kind of a satisfying conclusion, I guess. It was like there's no more river monsters to be found. There was like, all right, that's a wrap. The only fish I just like is the one that crawled out of the water and started this series of events that led us to paying taxes. Exactly. Get your ass back in there. Go back. If I had a time machine, it'd be over. If I had a time machine, it'd be over. I love fish. I love crustaceans. I like, I love things with exoskeletons. Fucking dumb looking fish. I hate taxes. Exactly. Anything with an exoskeleton is a win in my book. So bugs, crustaceans, beautiful. Horseshoe crab. I love horseshoe crabs. I'm so jealous. I want to be on one of those places where if you flip over a horseshoe crab and you take a picture of it, you can tell like the local like wildlife rehab and they'll give you a medal with a horseshoe crab on it. I want it. I want it so bad. I want to see a horseshoe crab. I actually see horseshoe crabs quite often. I was at the beach recently and there was a horseshoe crab shed and I picked it up, but I left it in my car for too long and it disintegrated, which was unfortunate. But it's okay. I'll find another one day. I get quite a few. I don't say I see them every time I'm on the shore, but I do see horseshoe crabs from time to time. You know what's another thing that's crazy about this place? You can't do this where I live, but here you can buy lottery tickets with debit cards. I've talked about it before. You can't let me gamble. You cannot let me loose in a casino. I will waste all my money. I will go into debt. You can buy lottery tickets. Yes, I love scratch off tickets. Yes, I spent $10 on scratch offs. I got two of the word search ones because those are the best ones, and then I had $1 left because you had to buy in $10 increments when you use your debit card. And then I had $1 left, so I bought one of the shitty $1 ones. $10 on scratch offs, net zero. The word search ones are big. Yes, word search and Loteria. Those are the best ones. Gotcha gambling is great when you don't spend actual money on it. That's the thing. I can't play gotcha games. The one gotcha game I got invested in was a dress up game called Moe Can't Change, and I spent way too much money on it, and I'm never going back again. I hate gotcha games. I prefer scratch offs because, when you're playing a scratch off, at least there's like the physical thrill of scratching off a ticket. But I spent $10 on scratch offs. I got 3 tickets. I won $10, net zero. No loss, no loss, no gain, net zero. I feel like that's worse than just losing. Well, maybe it's not. No, it's better than losing because at least you're like, hey, I didn't spend $10 on lottery tickets like a dumbass. Where I live, it's actually, for some reason, my state is incredibly lucky with lottery tickets. It's insane because you also might get money from it too. Exactly. Exactly. I don't know. I'm not much of a gotcha person. I am, maybe this is my grandma jumping out. I love the good old fashioned scratchy, maybe a state sanctioned lottery, mega lottery every once in a while. But yes, I'm going to turn in my scratch offs. Am I going to buy more? Who knows? Some states require the minimum possible prize throughout a series to be close to the price of the tickets themselves. Grandma or hag? I don't know. Am I a hag? I haven't been called a hag yet. I've been called a grandma, but not a hag. Scratch off tickets are like smoking. I don't know how, but they have like the same aura. Exactly. I'm imagining myself in a big armchair with a delicious cigarette in my mouth, and I'm scratching off a scratch off. Depends if you're 30 or more. I'm like 200 at this point. I died in about like 1883. So I don't know if you want to count all those years that I was out of commission. Granny maxing would be like the Powerball. Stop, don't say that. I play the Powerball. I play the Powerball all the time. It's so cheap. And again, there's strategies to it where I live. Like people where I live are serious about the Powerball. I love the Powerball. Whenever there's a big jackpot, I spend like $15 on Powerball tickets. Don't call me out like that. Okay, I'm overheating. The bathroom is really hot. There's strategies to the Powerball. Gambling addicts everywhere rejoicing. Literally, 90% of gamblers stop right before hitting the big one. Stop. But no, I'm serious. There are specific stores where I live. See, I'm getting the low battery power warning. There's specific stores where I live where like they have a higher percentage of Powerball winners than other places, especially when the Powerball gets really racked up. Like Publix. Publix, that doesn't dox me too much because everyone knows I'm from the South. Publix has, it's really good at giving out winning Powerball tickets. Most of the Powerball tickets where I'm from come from Publix, like the winners. I'm telling you, there is a bit of a strategy. I'm not psychotic. I sound like a psychopath. I sound insane. 99% of gamblers stop right before bankrupting the house trust. This message was delivered to you with advertisement money granted by the house. Exactly. You know what? You cannot. I considered I've gone through many different degree paths. For a while, I was actually going to mortuary school. The only reason why I stopped was because there are so few mortuary programs where I live. This was the only one nearby. And because it's actually the only one in my state. Because it was the only one in my state, it was really full. And so I actually made decent progress in my mortuary degree, but it was so full. I was going on full 2 to 3 semesters without being able to get into any classes because they set it up in the most insane way possible. So I was not able to get into any classes because it was overfilled. So that's why I dropped out of mortuary school. I'd love to go back one day, just not today. Anyways, I was in mortuary school. There is I can't remember if it's every other year or every year, but there is a funeral directors convention, not convention, conference. I'd say it's more of a conference where, you can go, you can talk to other funeral directors, you can browse, the different coffins and equipment and stuff they have on sale to see if you'd be interested in buying it. You can only go if you're a student or if you're licensed. But yes, there's a funeral directors conference, national. And one of them was in Las Vegas. And it was while I was getting my degree. It was in Las Vegas. Do you know how sad I am that I did not get to go to a funeral directors conference with a bunch of funeral directors in Las Vegas? Imagine a bunch of morticians drunk and gambling. Imagine it. That sounds like heaven to me. But I didn't get to go. And I'm very sad. I almost asked for it for like a birthday gift, but I think something happened that year. What happened? I think it was while I was I think it was something, I don't know. I can remember. I couldn't go for some specific reason. I was going to, but I didn't. And I'm so sad. Because now I just can't attend those conferences anymore because I'm not in mortuary school. I'd love to go back. Maybe one day I will. But I can't believe I missed the fucking Las Vegas mortuary conference. I feel like you would have a 102% chance of going bankrupt with a 2% margin of error. Exactly. Exactly. But the slot machines look so fun. They're so I would love, it's so simple. You pull the lever and you win. And you get to see beautiful. I love pushing buttons and pulling levers. It's addicting. You can't let me in a fucking casino. What would have to happen if I were to ever go to Vegas? What you would have to do is you would have to, they sound like I'm a marriage material. Oh my goodness, you're going to make me blush. Don't say that. Oh my goodness. But yes, if you ever put me in Vegas, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to open a separate bank account and put all the money specifically for Las Vegas on that bank account. And I'm going to have to leave all of my other cards at home because I can say, oh, I'm only going to spend $100 on slot machines. We all know that's not how it works. I'm going to spend $100 and I'm going to be like, oh, but I'm so close to making a profit. Well, let's 50 more. And then I'm going to lose everything. And it's going to be the twisted cycle. Would you trust yourself with not cooking the books and inflating the gambling account? Exactly. No, I can't. I'm not going to be trusted. I can't trust myself like that. I'm too predisposed to a gambling addiction. So I just opt to stay. That's like the thing is I don't struggle with other problems like getting addicted to things. Like I was talking about it the other day. I smoke a polite cigarette every now and again. 1 or 2 every few months. Nicotine addiction can't get me. You know what can get me? Gambling. I can't. There's just the thrill of it. It's like, honestly, I don't even gamble for the money. I gamble because I think it's fun. Yuri, I don't think I would take you to Vegas ever. The queso coughing video. Stop. No, that was when I was hitting my Raz. Vape hurts me more than cigarettes. I don't know why. There's something unnatural to it. My body rejects it. My kind of gambling is flight simulators. It's always either getting a kill or getting jump scared by people. There's gambling flight simulators? Wait a minute. Is that a thing? Can you win money off of a flight simulator? No, you got my hopes up. No, Las Vegas for Granny, exactly. You can't trust me. You can't trust me anywhere. Oh, playing with the odds. Okay. It's an emotional payout, not a financial. Well, the 747 crash, place your bets. Exactly. It's like horse racing. I bet on losing planes. Anywho, my phone is about to die. I just couldn't help but talk about gambling. You're all very enthralling. Good night. My phone is going to die. Thank you all. This was a wonderful stream. We talked about many beautiful things. We talked about moths. We talked about gambling. What more can you ask? Have a good night, everyone. And thank you for coming by to chat. It was very wonderful. Good night. Good night. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kisses for everyone because it was a good stream. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Good night.